And now, dispatches from the General.
All right. Shout out to everybody who is traveling when you shouldn't be during the holidays. My family still wanted to get together for a holiday dinner. I said, only if you invite our auntie. And she said, which auntie? I said, antibodies. You know, the good news is you can tell your kids Santa Claus ain't coming because he's a super spreader. Just pretend to be Jewish like I've been doing for my entire life. Yeah, stay healthy, everybody. Stay home, I guess, is what this show is about. How hard it is to stay home and what the sacrifices that some of our friends in the service business are doing. We have a really interesting guest and a good friend of mine, Craig from Craig's. Craig Susser, the proprietor of a great restaurant in California, is our guest today. And we have some touchy subjects. And at the end of the show, we have a roast in peace to one of my favorite restaurants of all time, Friendly's. The ice cream chain had to liquidate their entire company just by turning the freezers off. All right, folks, let's start the show.
Get ready for Jeffross. Do you have thick skin? Let's all come together.
Like we always say on this show, folks, life is hard, but don't worry. We're getting through it together. This is a special outdoor, COVID-safe edition of Thick Skin with Jeff Ross. You can probably hear cars and dogs in the background, but the last thing I want to do is get my producers, COVID. And the last thing I want to do is be unsafe for my guests. So we are outside abiding by California's very strict COVID guidelines. Sometimes I wear a mask on my ears just so I don't have to hear about this shit anymore. My cousin Ed, our producer Ed, is here. Hi, Ed.
What's going on, pal?
Thanks for putting the show together. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Of course. Every time.
Doing some holiday shopping. I'm getting everybody fancy sweatpants this year.
Yeah.
Because my sister said after like 6 months of quarantine, I said, how's it going with Eric? You know, her husband, since we're little kids. She said, everything's fine, but, I wish he'd go to work already. I can't look at those fucking sweatpants anymore. So I said to everybody, sweatpants. Figuring everyone's been wearing sweats. They need fancy tracksuits now.
The good thing is you can order them without even leaving the house.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I didn't even order them. I go around my neighbor's house stealing Amazon packages and hoping. I'm like Santa Claus reverse. It's been hard. I don't mind staying at home. I'm luckier than most. I can exist at home after 30 years, 3 decades on the road. I don't mind kind of taking a hiatus, if you will, and living a domestic life, reading some books, watching some movies. I got a fucking Christmas tree, which I bought in protest. My friends talked me into I even went to the Christmas tree place and said, I really think I get a Jewish discount because this is a protest purchase. And they did. They gave me $11 off. So shout out to the Christmas tree place in my neighborhood. And I'm allergic to it, apparently. Ed said, it's a fresh cut pine tree. You're probably allergic to it. And yes, lo and behold, we're both allergic to it.
Yeah, I always had a fake tree growing up, and I didn't realize why until I...
That's the thing? You can be allergic to a Christmas tree?
Yeah. It's a real tree.
I understand it's a real tree. Maybe it's just because you're Jewish.
Yeah.
It might be.
Our brand of Jewish allergy involves freshly cut grass and trees.
All right.
So, there you go.
Yeah. It's a strange time in the world, and one of the things I love most in life, I grew up in a restaurant. Cousin Ed grew up cooking, right? When we started working together full time, you were working making cheesesteaks.
Yeah.
In New York City, and I grew up in the catering business, watching my dad and my uncles and my great grandmother. They were all caterers, And there's nothing more I love about Hollywood and Los Angeles than being able to go to cool restaurants and have people go, "Hey, Jeff, good to see you. Come on in, sit down." It's a break from life. It's a break from having to order in or cook at home. And I saw a video online the other day of a restaurant owner in Sherman Oaks. She was basically crying because she had made a big investment into her place to follow COVID guidelines here. And she had to shut down again after redesigning her restaurant and building an outdoor patio. And then she came to work. She came to work to stop by the place to do some bookkeeping. And there was 4 tents across the street in the parking lot for a movie shoot. I also love the movies, and I also understand why the show must go on. We're in L.A., but
here's the thing: like I get why she was upset.
Yeah.
I also get the movie shoot protocol. Everybody's being tested, and they're keeping it really, really safe.
Yeah.
But a great way to like split the difference would be like, oh, we're going to be outside so-and-so restaurant. Let's use them for the catering. Let's throw them some business.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then everybody's safe. They can make a couple of bucks. It isn't going to make a dent, but at least it's something. And that way you're kind of helping the local community.
I love that. That's a great. That would be a great compromise.
Right.
Jumping in right there, he couldn't help himself because he's passionate about this. I called my friend Craig the other day to check in on him because I saw that the restaurants were closing down again, and I asked him to come by today. He is. He reminds me of the guys in our family, Ed. He's Craig, as far as I know, started out at Dantana's, another famous Hollywood place. Tell me if I get anything wrong, Craig.
No.
He worked his way up to
I was
Mater.
going to say high cholesterol and a little overweight, but never mind.
That's partially your fault.
Partially your fault, Craig.
Sorry.
Those goddamn little bar mitzvah hot dogs you always send to my table. Trying to kill me. It's like when Ed orders fried chicken when I don't even ask him for it, and I eat the whole fucking thing. But my point was, Craig, he's got a fancy, upscale, amazing food, the best chicken parm in the world, great steaks. It's Craig's on Melrose in Hollywood, and I love this restaurant. And the idea that
Wait. Fancy? It sounds so fancy. You called it the Olive Garden for celebrities.
I roasted Craig for his birthday one year, and I was very honored. It was only a few of us. I got to follow the great Don Rickles, and it was a pretty.
That's amazing.
It was a major.
Don and I were friends for years.
That must be.
I miss that man.
Yeah, I know your food's good, but that's pretty amazing.
Oh, Don had a regular table, and you'd see, Larry King there, and you'd see.
Bob
Newhart.
Yeah.
And this is all the restaurant's not even 10 years old?
No, it'll be 10 January 12th.
Right. So the restaurant's new, but yet the Hollywood hotshots all came in, and Craig and I formed a friendship because I like your work ethic. A lot of restaurants, you go in, there's some, Dumbo at the hostess stand who's just like, do you have a reservation? When you go to Craig's, it's like Cheers. Everyone knows your name. Everyone knows who you are. And if they don't, they're still nice to you, but you got to wait for 45 minutes at the bar, at least.
But how many people in the world would take that deal right now? A year ago, you'd be really mad at me. Now you'd be like,
I get to go to a
good.
bar?
all right. I think you're making a good point. So when I saw that Los Angeles and many parts of the country, but it's really bad here. COVID is spiking here. The ICUs are full, and they're closing the restaurants again. Now, the restaurants that I go to, most of them have made these huge adjustments in putting up plexiglass, and everybody in the staff is wearing masks and shields, and everybody is separated, and you can't stand up at other people's tables, so you lose a little bit of the vibe. But like I always say, the show went on. You opened, and it was wonderful. You built a very, I would imagine, costly patios in the front and back of the restaurant. And then I saw, once again, after making all these investments, you have to shut down completely. So I called Craig to see how he was doing, and he said, "Fuck it, I'll just come over." So how you doing? How's it
I got
going?
a little bit of free time. It's look, it is what it is. Like we're all kind of in the same boat. The issue is we've made a lot of adjustments, and by and far most of us in the restaurant business are rule followers because we're used to the health department, we're used to the ABC, we're used to like insurance and all that stuff. So we're probably the ones that are most equipped to handle new safety regulations, and we're the quickest ones to adopt it. So yeah, we did spend a lot of money. First it was glass in between the booths, and then it was no indoor dining, then it was outdoor dining, then it was patios, then it was you got tables, you got those shields in between tables, you got all of the health issues, getting your employees tested and making sure that everybody's safe. And so it is a huge investment. And by the way, none of the restaurant owners that I am friends with, the people from Hwood, Catch, Chiconi's, like all of our surrounding restaurants, none of us are denying that there's an issue.
Right.
There's an illness, and
course.
people are suffering. And one of my mentors, the bartender from Dantana's, Mike, passed away. I mean,
From COVID.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's for real, and it's not to be denied.
Yeah.
So, it's the holiday season, and guys like us, people that I know, we're gonna last, right? We're gonna make it through. We'll see it to the other side. It's the bartenders, it's the busboys, it's the back of the house people that are having a really hard time, getting laid off during the holidays, going on unemployment. It's just, and then psychologically, you're at 8-9 months of this,
Right.
And we've been zigging and zagging the whole time, and it's a lot. The way we do our business, the way we run our business is completely different,
Right.
than the way it was 8-9 months ago. And so just to be told, after following all the rules, that we're going to kind of single out that industry, it's a little hard to take. Now, that being said, I'm not a denier, right? There's an issue.
right.
People are getting sick,
Of
and
course.
hospitals are getting full. But here's an example. We've been shut now for 10 days, but the COVID rates keep rising. So I guess
So you can't blame the restaurant.
I guess outdoor dining didn't have much to do with it. Now,
Right.
I feel like I understand that they feel like they have to do something.
Right.
But, you can fly from New York to LA, sit next to somebody, take down your mask, eat something, go to an indoor mall, go shopping, but you can't eat outdoors at a restaurant 8 feet apart with people wearing masks.
It's so wrong.
And that know the rules and regulations of the health department. So that being said, I'm also one of those people that don't think the county health department and the mayor and the board of supervisors and the governor are out to get restaurants. I don't feel.
So then who's
that.
lobbying for the restaurants?
Well, so we have kind of taken upon ourselves to lobby for us and say, look, we're the safest ones. We're the ones that you can rely on to abide by the rules and to do it, safely. And then there was a court case last week that said, okay, you close down the restaurants. Why? Where's the scientific data to prove that outdoor dining is the cause or is contributing to the increase in this that we're seeing? And LA County came back and frankly didn't have any scientific data.
Right.
Which kind of really, it makes it difficult when you've invested so much money and the safety of your employees and the safety of your customers is what you're concentrating on. And to just kind of have it taken away is really hard. And then you look
I saw on social media that some staff is moving on and people are moving away from Los Angeles. And
yeah, well, first of all, you got to remember a lot of the people that work in the industry, they're immigrants, right? So they send a lot of money back home and keep those people alive, right? So they're moving to Arizona, Texas, Florida, anywhere that's open where they can actually work.
Wow.
And then the other thing is, if they say they close because of Thanksgiving and that is a quote unquote super spreader event, well, then I guess Christmas is. And then
Yeah.
I guess New Year's Eve is. So we're not going to open until the third week of January at the earliest.
Right. And then you have Valentine's Day right around the corner.
Right. So it just gets to the point where how do we survive? How does a small business survive? I'm not part of a chain. I am a higher profile restaurant and we have a pretty high profile clientele. But at the end of the day, you still have to figure out a way to stay in business. We haven't really laid anybody off because they're all family, right? So you come into Craig's, and part of it is the experience, the food, and the waiters and servers and bartenders that know your name, know what you like to drink, know what you like to eat, and that's an art form. That isn't.
It really is.
That isn't an accident. That's hard work, and you can't just let those people go, and then the county or the state comes back in some date in the future and says, hey, you guys can open tomorrow.
Right.
And you're like, well, wait a second, I don't have any employees. So we've decided to keep most of them on, but it's at a pretty big expense. So
your restaurant's like a Broadway show. You guys just pulling cast members out.
No.
Right. It's like everyone's part of the way it flies.
We make it look like one big happy accident, but it's a ballet of chaos. And it takes a very specific kind of person, to do that. I mean, the bartenders and waiters and busboys and we've all been working together for so long.
There's one good upside that just hit me though.
What's that?
The paparazzi are going to go out of business. They're not outside your fucking restaurant all 24 hours a day looking for the Real Housewives.
No, it's unbelievable. I mean, it used to be so, that is one drag. Like 10 years ago,
you love
you
it.
could really have a good time. No, I'm not one of our mutual friends. I'm not pretending I don't like it and really do like it.
Beach or beer.
Yeah. All right. You said his name.
Sponsored.
You promised him. No, it's actually sponsored by Craig's Vegan Ice Cream. Anyway. So, it's a little bit, it's hard to take. I think we're all kind of worn down. The first March, April, May, we do food to go. You feel like you're providing a service. You feel like it's the one normal thing in somebody's day.
Right.
Is the food that they're used to getting.
Right.
And you kind of
called every Friday, had a date night, and would order Craig's.
You kind of feel
as
good.
if I was going out. I even got a little dressed up.
What a good Jew on Shabbat. You're ordering Craig's. So the thing is, you're it's just, you feel like you're doing something, but it's a losing proposition, right? So you're losing money on food to go while you're open, and you're keeping most of your employees employed. And so you're just trying to keep the employees busy. We decided at Craig's to try to contribute some money to their tips, even though, because their tips have been pretty impacted. But people are picking up food to go and they're leaving good tips, and people are really trying to help.
Yeah.
And then we got back to outdoor dining, and you got close to breaking even. And then there was a month or two, August, September, okay, we're actually, wow, we made a couple of bucks. And the servers were making a few dollars. And then so to kind of have it taken away again, I'm hoping, and I kind of feel like this is like that. My wife says it's like that one big last drop on the roller coaster. I mean, I think that's the kind of way everybody's feeling. So, the employees are hanging tough. We're hanging tough. We're going to see it through. And I don't care what I have to do to kind of make it through. But everybody's feeling the same way. I mean, I'm not the only guy there are people out there that are really suffering that can't write the checks to keep their places open. And keep
So do you feel like you're reinvesting in your own restaurant, or do you feel like it's a waste of money and you wish?
No, I am essentially reinvesting what I originally invested 10 years ago back into the restaurant.
That's crazy.
So we're kind of starting over again. But, if I'm not going to bet on myself, who am I going to bet on? And then we've got such a loyal clientele and a really good following. And then we've got a family of employees. We've got 90 people that work there that feed their families, and so you can't give up on that. And then also you really miss the camaraderie and the people getting together and the accidental, you walk in and you didn't expect to see somebody there.
Of course.
And all that stuff that goes on, the schmoozing and bumping into people. And then all of a sudden, two tables merge and then you're send them shots and let's get them something. And all of a sudden it's chaos and it's a fire. And, sometimes I look at pictures of that stuff from even a year ago and I'm like, did that even happen?
Right. People fucking on the chandeliers.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, thank God we got steel chandeliers. So it's just
It reminds me of I joined the Friars Club in the 90s as a young guy in New York and LA, but you'd always hear stories about the 60s and 70s and how everybody went from table to table and and Buddy Hackett would go just tell jokes from the doorway to the whole room. And
Yeah.
Craig's has a lot of that vibe. I went there on my birthday when my cousin Yaron turned 50. He was out from New Jersey. I took him for his birthday. I took Bob Saget and Jeff Garland for their birthdays. You know, I've taken so many friends there from out of town, or if you call late enough, I just go last minute.
You know,
and
there's an interesting fact, right? So you said it's like a really social thing. So when we were designing the restaurant, it doesn't really dawn on people until I point it out, but the booths are only 36 inches tall.
right.
So that when you sit in the booth, your ability to put your elbow on the back of the booth and turn around and talk to the next table is unencumbered. So it actually almost like fosters that, like, tables like talking to each other, throwing things at each other, or buying each
Right.
other rounds of drinks and stuff like that. So it kind of becomes a party even though you're sitting at separate tables.
That's great.
Yeah.
And the plexiglass does this mean Larry King's not going to sneeze on me?
Right.
I'm not coming.
Oy.
My salad won't taste the same unless.
Yeah, the problem. So there you go. So you'll make those deals, right? So, you know, when the county said, okay, we're going to cut back to 50%, and you got to close at 10 o'clock, we were all like, okay, if that's what we got to do to stay open, that's what we'll do. If we got to have glass in between the booths to be open, that's what we'll do. So we made all of those deals.
Right.
We invested all of that money, and then to kind of be closed on top of it is just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not only the money that you're losing that you normally make, it's the money that you've invested. So it's almost like it's the double whammy. But I know full well that we'll come back. And look, the reason the Roaring 20s happened was because of the Spanish flu.
Right.
I mean, it's going to get crazy once we get past this, we get over it, and people are allowed to kind of like the handcuffs come off.
All right, I'm just going to say it again. Restaurants are going to come back bigger than ever. Ed knows where I'm going with this. Yeah. Comedy's going to come back bigger than ever. Music's going to come back bigger than ever. But you know what's done for good?
What?
Close-up magic. No one wants anybody pulling a quarter out of their fucking ear ever again. I'm not touching your card. Pick a card. Fuck you. It's too germy.
No. By the way, if that's the way I'm going to get a germ, that ain't going to be the way it's going to happen.
I like the Roaring 20s. Let's bring on the roasting 20s. The roasting. Wait a second. This is the 20s again.
Yes.
Right.
It's
Oh my God, think about that.
Yeah,
It's 100 years later.
As long as booze stays legal, I'm fine.
No, I mean, you think about it, like you think about history and you think about what people have gone through. If you were lucky enough to kind of escape the Vietnam War, right? So if you were born in the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, we haven't really known much hardship. We haven't had to overcome a lot. Like
Right.
My father-in-law was in World War II. He was in a tank for 2.5, 3 years. My
Right.
father was in Korea. He did 7 jumps out of an airplane with people shooting at him. Like we haven't experienced any of that
Right.
stuff. And so I think that this will ultimately make us more resilient. And I actually think it'll make our kids more resilient too. Because they're going to remember this. We have 7-year-old twins. Like this is not going to be forgotten.
Yeah.
Right? So does it make you more appreciative of what we're going to have when we have it? Does it make you work harder? Does it make you a little more resilient? Like you can't kind of get knocked off your feet quite so easily? Like I'm fascinated to see.
Like depression, babe. Like
I'm
depression.
fascinated to see the people that we become.
This is our Dust Bowl.
Because you're right, because of this. So I'm looking at it optimistically, like, how can I be more grateful for the things that I have? Like, we're in a horrible business during a horrible time. But if you think at Craig's, we're one of the lucky ones in a horrible business in a horrible time.
Right.
That steak's got to be aging well.
Yeah. it goes from 32 days to 45 days to 58 days. So,
Yeah, it needs a walker. Suddenly the fries won't load it up. It's not in the wheel anymore.
no, we'll call it the retirement special. So, you just like, you're like, as a person, I hope that I'm being affected and that I'm concentrating on what's more important and that the employees will appreciate what we have once it comes back. And then also like, us as a civilization, like what's going to be important? Are people going to be more creative? Are we going to be into funner things? Are people going to write more interesting books? Is the comedy going to be, is the comedy going to be better, and are people going to be less offended by the smallest things? Like, is it going to be for the good? You know, I mean, that's what I'm hoping.
I in the beginning of the pandemic, I thought, you know, roasting's dead. People can't handle it. And even if you could get a celebrity to sit there, the fans can't handle it. But as we go 8, 9, 10 months into lockdown with no live comedy, I go, you know what? I think we've worked through it, and people are going to want their comedy really potent. It's like medicine. If laughter is the best medicine, you would never want your medicine watered down. So I think people are going to want their comedy full.
Right, and I think there's going to be a people are being very supportive during this time, and I think people are going to really come out of this looking to kind of re-engage socially.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've really understood that, like, that's what we all miss. And it's funny that technology has kind of like pulled us apart.
Well, that's what people keep saying, do you miss being on stage? I'm like, kind of, but I really miss the comedians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
And
No,
the
I miss a
fans.
full room. I miss the energy of like walking into a packed Craig's at 7:30 and seeing who's there. It's not necessarily about the money. It's the action. It's the social interaction.
It's one of the things I love about you is that when you go to Craig's, Craig is there. It's not like, you know, Dangerfields where he hasn't been, he never went there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like restaurants that are, you know, a little less personal.
No, but
And
it's funny.
to me, that's such a fun quality about the restaurant. And one of the reasons it reminds me of my childhood and my dad and uncles and stuff, because they ran their place.
Yeah, I
and
feel
the
like-
customer wanted to see them. It made them happy.
Yeah.
And you know this rule of restaurants. It's like the food doesn't have to be the best food in the world. It can't. It just has to be consistent. When you go there, you know what you're going to get, and I think that's, you know, having the personnel there, you know what you're going to get.
No, you want a big stiff drink. You want somebody to know your name. You want to get a hug, and then you want that dish that you can picture and taste in your mouth.
Chicken parm.
Absolutely. So if you pictured it at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning and you're like, I know exactly what I'm having for dinner, our job is to deliver it exactly the way you remember it,
Yeah.
right? So that's like, you know, it's like I feel like Pavlov's dog around 6:30. Like I'm just ready to jump in a suit and go to work, and everybody's looking at me like, well, what's wrong with him and where's he going? There's nowhere to go. I still go down to the restaurant probably 3 nights a week, even though we're just packing up food to go. And some people stop by themselves, but a lot of them use delivery services
Sure.
or we deliver ourselves. But
Yeah.
you just feel like you have to be there, like, you know. And then in the daytime, I'm just doing it's survival mode. You're making every little move you can and just make sure that the restaurant is alive. And then the other thing is, in the restaurant community, I've never seen another restaurant as an adversary. And I know that a lot of the other restaurants feel that way. Like, my goal was to always be one of the 10 or 12 places that was in the rotation. Like, you don't want to be number one. You
Right.
can't stay number one anyway.
Right.
It doesn't
I've
really
heard
matter.
you talk so glowingly about your competitors before.
Yeah. So what's happened is we've all kind of banded together to kind of fight some of these, you know, some of these issues that have come along. And so I think a lot of us have kind of come back together, and we've gotten to know each other a little bit better. The restaurants will come back first. I mean, I think the bars are probably going to struggle a little bit longer.
Especially the smaller, skinny ones.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of, like, all my favorite bars it's just a row of stools and then maybe another row behind that. You know,
Yeah.
like those places, it's going to be a while. Like the Frolic Room.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be tough for a place like that to open back up.
So you just, you know, you don't know what the future holds, but you just got to hope that, like, it comes back. And then when it comes back, you know, we're all working together. We're all seeing each other together. And I always feel like it's not important. It's not just important how you get through, getting through something. It's how you get through it, right? So keeping the whole family together, keeping as many of the employees on as possible, like making sure that people are taken care of. I'm still like texting and emailing a lot of the regular customers, just checking in on people, saying hello. They don't need a reservation. They don't need a table. I don't need anything. I'm just saying hey.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you did the other day.
Right.
Like we do it on a constant basis. Like everybody's just kind of checking in on each other, which is really kind of like nice and
Yeah.
so not 2019, you know?
Yeah.
And you say about the family. It's so, as someone, I've worked in restaurants for 18 years. I've held every job except for owner. And it's so hard to find good employees. that, it's been our business where it's, a last resort for some people to, become a busboy or something like that. And, when you get them, you do everything you can to hold on to them.
Yeah. Right.
Because it's, if it's not them, it's going to be some guy who's a drunk or, something, because that's what the industry kind of lends itself to.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just read Anthony Bourdain's book and you realize how true that really is.
Yeah. It is definitely like, it's a place for lost souls, and we're all a little damaged, which kind of makes it really kind of interesting and fun because everybody brings something to it that you never we're all nuts, right?
Who's the worst employee you ever had without naming names? You ever had a waiter that you just couldn't figure out what was wrong with them?
Yeah. and sometimes I'm like, you do understand that your job is to listen to what they want and then bring it, right? Like, it's really not a hard concept.
Why would I rather, somebody could, literally steal my car and I wouldn't be as mad at them as a bad server? What? And maybe this isn't the right time to be trashing service people, but
no, but there are people.
What makes people so crazy?
People get fired up. I mean, it's you want what you want when you want it. And by the way, I will give away one of the golden secrets of the restaurant business, and I know you know this because you come from it. But a big stiff drink and warm bread gets you half the way there. It isn't rocket science.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right,
give
right.
somebody a hug, give
Right.
a big stiff drink and bread.
Right.
And
Carbs.
everything should pretty go okay,
It's really a great trick. I always say life is hard, but we're getting through it together. My guest is Craig from Craig's here on Melrose, a good friend of mine. I don't want to get him too riled up, and we can go through these quickly, Ed, but we have some special food-themed touchy subjects.
Touchy subjects. Yes.
Ooh, I like
touchy,
this.
touchy subjects.
Oh,
Well,
touchy
my
subjects.
first touchy subject is definitely going to get you riled up, but that's okay. LA County to reassess outdoor dining ban after uproar from celebrity chefs and restaurant owners. This is coming from People magazine. A Los Angeles judge has ruled that LA County's outdoor dining ban will be limited to 3 weeks as planned and then must be reassessed by the health department before it can be extended. So I don't, at least they have to sit down and really prove that this was effective and this changed everything.
Right. So essentially, what they said was, well, what's the scientific data saying that outdoor dining is increasing the spread? Mm-hmm. And the health department and the board of supervisors said we've seen the studies and that's our decision. And so some lawyers took them to court and said that's not good enough. We want to see the data. And the judge said, I want to see the data. And there was no data. So now, that being said, I don't think it was a decision that's made to hurt people. No. I think they're actually trying to help people.
Well, yeah, of course.
Come on.
It's disproportionate.
There's plenty of examples of ways to help. And then, by the way, ask us. We're not unreasonable people.
It's like if you had a beach club, it'd be up to you to figure out how to keep kids from falling in the pool. How many lifeguards should I have? How well trained should they be?
Right. So
there's
in other words,
rules, but then it's also you don't want the last thing you need is David Foster and beautiful Catherine McPhee coming in pregnant and being so excited to see everybody and then going, yeah, I got COVID at Craig's.
By the way, I'm much more afraid of David than I am of Catherine. So
it was fun. I went by the other day right before you closed, and I was very happy for that.
The interesting thing is okay, grab a few doctors, grab a few people in the hospitality industry, grab a few people that have a round table and say, okay, what do you think is smart? Right? Instead of just making an arbitrary rule that makes no sense because you see people at the mall ordering food to go after they've gone shopping and they sit in a little circle and they're eating. So they're essentially eating outdoors. They just didn't do it technically at a restaurant. You didn't accomplish anything. Or they went down to Orange County and they started eating and then they came back to LA and they came
they brought whatever's there.
Nothing got accomplished.
Yeah.
Take one step further. The Comedy Store had this giant parking lot. You're not allowed, obviously, to have a show inside, but you could space out 50, 60, 70 people in that giant parking lot. That's okay to serve chicken wings. But if you want to add one schmuck with a sanitized microphone, you're breaking the law. because he's speaking in the direction of the people.
Right. So
But
look,
yet you're 20 feet away. It's,
now, like I said,
it's not thought out.
And I will go back and say this all the time. Like, we're all shooting in the dark. Like, they're just trying to do the best they can. And I really
gotta
hold
do better.
no animosity, but there has to be some sort of a systematic way of thinking about it so that just so we can kind of hang in there.
How
You
hard
know?
is it going to be for Garcetti to get a table after this?
Who?
What's next, Ed? What's next?
All right, this one's this one's especially for you because you love your vegan ice cream, and it's available now at Fat Burger and Gelson's. You
Craig's
can check
Vegan
out
Ice Cream.
Craig's Vegan Ice Cream. It's delicious.
Bristol Farms, Air One, Gelson's.
Really?
We're the base of the vegan shake at Fat Burger, soon to be Johnny Rockets. I mean, we're
Wow.
We're moving and
That's it.
grooving. Yeah. And by the way, it's a third less calories. It's made with cashews, and there's it's not just good for vegan ice cream. It's just good ice cream.
It's good. The peanut butter chocolate chip one, is that the one I'm thinking
the
of?
Melrose Mint chip.
That's the one I always get.
Yep.
Yeah.
you
The
guys
last
really
word
did it
you want to
right.
hear before ice cream is vegan, but it is delicious.
Yeah, but the great thing is if I all I say to people is, "Are you allergic to cashews?" No, and then I just slide it in front of them. I don't ever tell
love
them
it.
it's vegan, and then they just go for
No,
it.
no one knows.
All right, so I thought you said we were on touchy subjects. So far you haven't even like laid a finger on it.
All right. What's your next touchy subject?
All right. Well, the next touchy subject about the ice cream is
By the way, wear gloves if you're going to lay a finger on me.
Touchy
Ben and
subject.
Jerry's collaborates with Colin Kaepernick for a new ice cream flavor called Change the World, WHIRLED.
Wait, hold on.
That's right.
W8 what?
World, like a whirl, like
Oh, a whirl.
Oh,
Yeah.
WHI. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. It's the
like
fight
it.
for justice is difficult and long. Colin Kaepernick knows this well, and his latest foray will help ease the late night blues. Colin Kaepernick Changed the World, a vegan, non-dairy frozen dessert, will launch in 2021. The dessert is caramel, sunflower butter. God, I love sunflower butter. Based with fudge chips.
Are you serious?
I really do. Sunflower butter is like truly unbelievable. Not many. It's a Northeast thing though.
Oh, okay.
And I had best ice cream I ever had my whole life. No offense. Was sun.
You can't offend me.
Sun butter
Especially
and
after this
grape
10
jelly.
months.
So Colin Kaepernick's, what's the flavor?
It is. It's caramel, sunflower butter base with fudge chips, graham cracker swirls, and chocolate cookie swirls, with the branding giving 1970s peace vibes.
I heard it. Listen, anything that spreads the word on vegan ice cream, I'm in favor of.
I heard it's so I heard Colin Kaepernick's Ben and Jerry's flavor is so delicious it'll make even racists take a knee.
Or it's so delicious, it'll make you drop to your knees.
Yeah. Brain freeze.
There's good flavors on both sides. I put 2 fucking dogs inside and 3 came out.
By the way, you're not that good at it. I'm just saying.
I'm too much of a...
Rambo, come here. Knock it off.
Our regular... Nipsey, get down. He smells chicken parm on you, Craig. Regular listeners of this podcast know that we are... dog. I would say dog friendly is too polite a term.
Now I know why you call him Nipsey. He just nipped me.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
All right, yeah, Nipsey.
But that is exactly why he calls her Nipsey.
All right, one more touchy subject.
All right, this isn't even touchy. This is I feel like this is beautiful. A Minnesota Dairy Queen drive-through sees a 2-day, $10,000 pay-it-forward chain. That's right. Some guy went through the drive-through and he was like, "Hey, I'll tell you what. I'm going to pay for mine, and I'm going to pay for the car behind me too."
Wow.
And then the car behind him paid for the car behind them, and it went for over 500 times in a row.
Till it got to Oprah's car.
No,
We can't afford this.
no, I was the 501st car. Really upset.
Yeah, but they made over $10,000, and just people just kept buying it for each other. And I misspoke. It wasn't 500; it was 900 cars.
Wow.
Yeah, and at 48 cars, that branch at DQ tweeted out, like, "We have 48 people pay for other people's drive-through. Let's keep it going." And then it went for 2 more days.
That's amazing.
It really is amazing.
Pay it backwards.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love free ice cream? When I was a kid, the Carvel in my neighborhood on Halloween gave out Sundays, free Sundays. And that was just mind-boggling.
I love that.
We would walk 3 miles to the Carvel to get a sundae on Halloween.
that.
It was a beautiful...
A trick my dad used to always do on road trips was when he'd go through the toll booth, he would pay for half of the person's toll behind him.
Wow.
Just to like aggravate them or make them happy. Just like it's like
Or just confuse them.
Well, you have so many big stars come into your restaurant over the years. Do you ever get... When's the last time you got starstruck, Craig?
Every once in a while. I mean, the funny thing is, it's like, 99.9% of the people that come to Craig's, you wouldn't know if you fell over them.
Right.
But the celebrities get a lot of attention. But yeah, once in a while you turn around and you just like it kind of startles you, and you try to come off cool and glib and like, oh yeah.
Bill
like, it's no
Clinton
big
came
deal,
in
but,
once.
The President Clinton's been in a couple times, and by the way, he is a charismatic guy.
What did he order?
He's a vegan, so he's ordering vegan food.
Oh.
Yeah, vegan chicken parmesan.
How was the tip?
and stuff.
How was the tip? Good tipper? Leader of the free world, good tipper?
They do just fine. Nice try.
It's so fun.
what's an appropriate tip for you when you go out? How much do you give?
I mean, usually it's 20% for good service. If it's like really, really good service, it might be a little bit more. You just there's this whole thing about tipping. Having a tip automatically added to the check really kind of bothers me, because the whole point is to ensure proper service, right?
Right.
That's the whole point of the tip.
Right.
And then, so you want people motivated to serve well and to kind of have their head in the game.
And folks, even though you can't go to Craig's now, I highly recommend ordering takeout. Call Craig's on Melrose. What's the number? How do you do it?
310-276-1900. And you can order Craig's Vegan Ice Cream on craigsvegan.com. Order it for the holidays. And you can also order the chocolate pizza
Really?
frozen on Goldbelly.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's
This is a
yeah.
delicacy, Ed. I don't think you've had this before.
So the chocolate
Explain
pizza.
it to Ed, please.
It's a pizza crust
Okay.
with multiple layers of chocolate.
Keep going.
A little creme anglaise. A little something special, cookie-ish on the top,
Fuck
and then a big, beautiful scoop of vanilla ice cream on top, and it's just warm and melty.
shit.
And so
Fucking
we
asshole.
figured out. I'm
making-
talking to you. I'm
making
talking
me-
your sex language. I can tell.
You're making us horny right now.
So we figured out how to freeze it, and you can go on Goldbelly. There comes 3 to a pack. You pop it in the oven, 8 minutes. You're home free.
Wow. Awesome. Folks, call up Craig's. Call up the different restaurants where you live. I don't know where you are right now, but try to support local restaurants.
I just want to give a shout out to all the restaurants that are going through this. It's not just Craig's, it's everybody.
Right.
Everybody's trying to hang on to their employees. Everybody's trying to hang on to their business. Support with food to go. Buy their merchandise, buy their masks, buy their T-shirts, buy gift cards, whatever you can do. Just try to get money coming in their door. And if we can just last through this, we'll all have places to go when we open.
Yeah.
If you don't support them, there's going to be a lot of for lease signs and a lot of places that aren't going to be available. So that's, people ask me all the time what they can do. I'm like, order food, order a bottle of wine, order merch, order gift cards.
I love it. Ed and I, we grew up in restaurants. Look at this guy right here.
Oh, wow.
That's a picture of me at the Clinton Manor. I was probably in high school at the carving station. Looks like London broil with my chef whites on.
Those tall chef hats.
Right.
Classic.
So got a lot of love for the people front of the house, back of the house, and food makes me happy. So
It's the one common denominator for sure.
that we're always going to need, and you're not always going to want to cook, and you're not always going to want to, make a frozen pizza, folks. So support your restaurants. Call up your local Chinese restaurant, your Italian place, your steakhouse. Make it happen. Have a kebab, some Indian food, perhaps. We talked a little bit about ice cream today. This is a tough one. We don't. Usually, we pay tribute to people we care about that passed away in our Roast in Peace segment, but we're going to go a little different this time in honor of the shutdown and what's happening with all the restaurants in the world. Ed, it's time for Roast in Peace.
Friendly's has filed for bankruptcy. Beloved East Coast restaurant chain Friendly's has filed for Chapter 11. FIC Restaurants, the parent company of Friendly's, says it filed for protection of its restaurants during the COVID pandemic. The Massachusetts-based company announced that it plans to sell itself to a restaurant investment firm, Amici Partners Group, and is asking the bankruptcy court to approve the sale and confirm the Chapter 11 plan mid-December. Nearly all of its 130 locations are closing to deal with, and they're dealing with thousands of job loss.
Crazy.
If you've never been, Friendly's is kind of like IHOP for even fatter people. When asked about the future of Friendly's, the CEO said it will be a rocky road. It's surprising that Friendly's filed Chapter 11. I didn't know that anyone who worked there could actually read.
Brutal.
Brutal. And I'm sorry if you lost your job. That's what this whole show is about. The Monster Mash wasn't only a Sunday. The Monster Mash was also what they called the staff. I asked for worms and dirt, and they literally gave me worms and dirt. I asked the waitress for an extra spoon. It came with a needle and a lighter. I asked for sprinkles, and a hooker dressed as a clown showed up. Now that's friendly. Friendlies, they were their cone worst enemy. There was only one rule at Friendlies. If you get caught pissing in the ketchup, you're banned for 3 weeks. I heard the reason Friendlies is closing is because they got a little too friendly with the Dairy Queen. Friendlies, we hate to see you go. Thank you, friend. Thank you, Friendlies. Roast in peace. Great show, Ed. Thank you. One more time, Craig's Restaurant on Melrose. Find them, Google them, look up the menu. What's the website?
Craig's.la.
Follow us on Craig's LA.
Yeah, and also your Instagram is always fun. You always make me hungry. Sometimes it pisses me off when I'm on a diet. I have to scroll through your pictures and
my job.
Reluctantly like a picture of chicken parmesan.
Sometimes I put something sweet up right at like 10 o'clock just as you're about to go to
You're
bed.
diabolical. You are diabolical. Shout out to Stereo app. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Download Stereo so you can roast. Download Stereo app so you can join the conversation. You can roast me. You can make fun of my fucking Nazi bastard German Shepherd. Hitler, quiet. That's my little dog Hitler.
Heil, I mean, heel.
Heil. Nipsey, don't jump on Craig. He doesn't have any food for you right now. So download Stereo app. It's a lot of fun. And
follow Jeff on there at Jeff Ross. Follow me at Eddie Tunes. And we've been doing a lot of conversations on there and some free content, some other content. So go check it out. Roastmastergeneral.com for all things Jeff Ross. Go pick up your emotional support human shirt as a Christmas present. It's the best. If any year we needed emotional support humans, it's this one.
We got to give one to Craig.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, check out Jeff on Cameo. You want him to tell your relatives to go fuck themselves on Christmas? He'll do it. So go find him on Cameo and
Call me, I'll help.
go to Jeff's. Also on the tour page, a lot of the Bumping Mike's dates have been rescheduled. Go check that out. Rate and review us on iTunes. Subscribe to the YouTube page, and you can check us out on Instagram. Thick Skin with Jeff Ross. Real Jeffrey Ross on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Eddie Tunes _ on Twitter. Eddie Tunes Normal. And check out my movie available on Vimeo and HowAmericaKilledMyMother.com. How America Killed My Mother. Jeff is in that movie, and it's been going real well. And spread the word, folks.
Yep, life is hard, folks. Don't worry. We're getting through it together. Taking us out, as always, the great, what's his name?
Gary Clark Jr.
Gary Clark Jr. I'm in New York, talking the talk. I'm doing the podcast, full tank of gas.
Uh-huh.
I got Cousin Ed and Gary too. I got the thick skin blues. Having a drink. My armpits stink.
Hey.
I'm feeling so good, I'm in the hood, I don't want it to end. I got the thick skin blues.
Thick skin blues.